Hi, this is Tara. Today is a magnificent day in the Pacific Northwest. Today we're celebrating that we had our first official book launch for Petie the Pathetic Dumptruck. It is #1 in the new releases on Amazon, and it's stayed in that position for over 3 weeks now. It's one of the best sellers on Amazon, and that is just incredible. I have you to thank for that. Thank you for your support, for your encouragement. It's a delightful book, and I'm very honored and blessed to be a part of it. Today, I'm going to give you a reading of this book. Please share it. There'll be a link below that you can get it for yourself, somebody you know and love, to let them know that they're kind of a big deal. So there's Petie. Let's get a nice look at that. So here we go. Petie was a pathetic dump truck. Everyone knew it, and no one even denied the obvious. Petie went to school surrounded by dump trucks, and of all of them, he was the most pathetic. Even the smallest and most poorly assembled dump truck could move and dump more dirt in an hour than he could in a week. You see, the problem was that Petie was not a dump truck, yet he really wanted to be a dump truck. It was plain to see that Petie was a different make of truck. But no matter what anyone said, he wanted to be a dump truck like all of his friends. He was angry, discouraged, and depressed. There he is with his friends. Look, poor guy. He's just a sweet little truck. His friends, feeling bad for him, told him about the maker, the one who had made the trucks. They said he's super kind and loves all the trucks. Go visit him, and maybe he will make you a better dump truck. So they're all telling him all the good news, and there he is. All right. Okay. Let's see what Petie does. Oh, so the next day, Petie decided that's what he would do. I will visit the maker, and I'd ask him to make me a better dump truck. The maker lived and worked in a town nearby. Petie drove through places he'd never seen before, carefully rehearsing his plea for help and transformation. Look at that. He's pretty excited. He's going to get all fixed up, he thinks. Finally, he arrived at the most magnificent garage he had ever seen. And as he rolled through the bay doors, he saw chassis and engines and wheels sitting on workbenches and hanging on walls. There were assembly lines of trucks being manufactured as far as the eye could see. This is spectacular, Petie exclaimed. The maker can and will make me a better dump truck. There he is, pretty excited to be in that garage. As Petie stood in awe of the trucks, he looked over to a particular bench where he finally noticed the maker. The maker looked at the little truck with a kind smile and said, "Hello, Petie. I've been waiting for you. What can I do for you?" Petie paused, wondering how the maker knew him, and even more, why the maker would be waiting for him. But he replied desperately, "I want to be a better dump truck." The maker's smile changed to a look of concern, and he asked, "Why do you want to be a better dump truck?" Look how excited Petie is. And there's the maker. Doesn't he look nice? Petie explained how cool dump trucks were and how all of his friends were dump trucks. He explained how he was always embarrassed at being picked last for dump truck games and that the trucks always made fun of him. He complained that no matter how hard he tried to be a better dump truck, he continued to fail. Look at that. They're all like doing their thing, and Petie's just so frustrated. The maker loved Petie and remembered the day he was assembled. He knew Petie was going to accomplish great things for all trucks and people. but he knew that he could not answer the small truck's request to be a better dump truck. Petie waited for a while for a response from the maker and assumed the awkward silence meant the maker was going to give him what he asked for, to make him a better dump truck. So he turned around and he rolled on home. Look at that. The look on Petie's face goes, well, what are you going to do? Let's see what happens. Petie expected that maybe in the middle of the night some magical thing would happen and a large open box bed and hydraulics would be attached to him and he would go to school and shock everyone with his new earth-moving skills. But nothing happened. There was no dump body to hold dirt, no hydraulic system at all. There was nothing. Nothing was different. So this is him dreaming. That's what he's going to look like. He's sleeping. Years went by as Petie grew bigger and bigger, and though he looked nothing like the other dump trucks, he still insisted that was what he wanted to be, a dump truck. Eventually, he graduated from truck school, but just barely, last in his class. He rolled across the podium and received his diploma, all while ignoring the chuckles and rolled eyes of the crowd. Depressed, he looked for jobs where, weekly, he would get hired and fired sooner than a day's wages could be earned. Petie continued to go to the maker, begging for the same thing, make me a better dump truck. And each week he rolled home with hopes of a miracle. But nothing happened. Look, he's just going here, here, here. He's just getting dirtier and more broken and more frustrated. Poor Petie, huh? Petie became even more depressed. He spent most of his time sitting in his driveway, watching all the trucks around him live happy, fulfilled lives. Bulldozers dozing, delivery trucks delivering, transport trucks transporting. And there he was, with his ladders, hoses, and other things he had no idea what to do with that were uselessly attached to him, covered with dirt, broken, and unused. Petie had no friends. He had no purpose. He was bitter, jealous, and lonely. After losing his last job, he had finally come to the end of himself. He decided to take one last trip with what little fuel he had to see the maker one last time. He drank the last of his oil and said goodbye to his parents and pathetically rolled away to see the maker, who everyone claimed was good and kind. See, look at all these other trucks. They're all happy, doing their things. He just wants to be happy too, right? As Petie entered the garage, he angrily yelled at the maker, "If you just gave me what I asked for, my life would be so much better." Ooh, could you imagine? That's a big truck now. That's no little fire truck. It's a big one. There's the maker. Look, he's just so kind. Look how angry he is. As he rolled into where the maker was at the workbench, Petie looked into the maker's eyes and saw such compassion and kindness that he cried out loud with a different question. "Maker, who am I?" Look at that. A kind maker. And he finally figures out something different to say. With great joy and laughter, the maker shouted, "At last, you have asked the right question." Look at this. Look how happy the maker is. Finally. I love this part. The maker leaned over and began to clean Petie up. "Look, you have a siren." Once the maker touched it, it began to blare. "Do you see all these hoses?" The maker then connected the hoses to a hydrant. It would spout gallons of water in all directions, hoses that would carry water to put out fires. And my favorite, the ladders, tall ladders unfolded straight up into the air from Petie's side, where men would crawl up and down them, carrying the hoses to put out fires or rescue precious people from tall buildings. Petie I built you to be Pedro, the fierce fire truck. I built you to save lives. You're kind of a big deal. Look at Petie, he's so happy. And there's a maker fixing him up. Petie, now Pedro, felt such peace the moment the maker said his name, and he agreed, yes, I am Pedro the fierce fire truck, built to save lives, and I am kind of a big deal. The maker laughed with immense joy as Pedro realized he was fearfully and wonderfully made to do great things. Pedro would never be thought of again as Petie the Pathetic Dumptruck. He was known as Pedro the fierce fire truck, who saves lives. Today, Pedro rolls down the street proudly with a smile on his face, shiny and new as crowds cheer for him, knowing he's going to save the day. Pedro was built to save lives, and at last, he has become all that he was created to be. Look how happy he is. The end. God bless you, and thank you for your time. Share this with others and let them know they're kind of a big deal, and so are you.